Right then, Ed, on to day 2, the Queen Mother Champion Chase. And Jonbon leads the way in the early betting for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Rightfully so. Again, on form this season, pretty much a majority of the last 2 seasons, the rightful favourite, strong favourite. If he'd made the gig last year, would have had a mighty chance of winning. He's got that kind of hoodoo on his CV at the moment, has he? In fact, he's done everything but win at the Cheltenham Festival, and in a kind of an era where you kind of are judged by your CV of what you achieve at Cheltenham Festival as the one thing he hasn't achieved yet. I don't buy the argument he doesn't act at Cheltenham because he's been beaten there 3 times. Got beaten by Constitution Hill. He got beaten by Al Fabiolo in an Arkle, which a peak Al Fabiolo is a very good horse. And the other time, he made a really uncharacteristic jumping error when he ended up getting beaten by Elixir de Nuts in a rearranged Clarence House chase. But I can't use the argument he doesn't take to the track. I mean, he's bolted up there before in slur chases in almost track record time. So it just is that one thing. He hasn't gone and done it at the festival yet. This is now or never for him. You know, he's 9 years of age. He's your odds-on or shade of odds-on favourite. His form this year is in a different parish to everything else. You know, he blew an Ergamine out the water last time out at Ascot. And yeah, I mean, what's going to challenge him is the lineup, really. The lineup, in a wider point, is there are still a few horses here who are kind of going to play their cards late into. There's a bit of ducking and diving going on in terms of who perhaps switched to the Ryanair chase, who will stay at 2 miles. But on all-known form, the best horse. He's got winning form at Cheltenham, losing form with it. But yeah, I expect Jonbon is going to take all the beating.
Do you think that people sort of want to get Jonbon beat in many ways, don't they? Like, why do you think that is?
I know it's an interesting one, isn't it? It's almost like it's I told you so type of attitude. No, I mean, in the early, Nicky Henderson's insight's better than mine. He said in the early days, this horse used to really get fizzy and boil over. I was there at the Kingmaker chase at Warwick 2 years ago, where he made an absolute meal of trying to beat a horse called Calico, who's a good horse, but he's a handicapper. And in the pre-parade, Jonbon looked like you after a night out. I mean, he was all over the gaff. I tell you, yeah.
You've seen me, have you, in Birmingham?
Yeah, he was sweating up after a Digbeth nightclub. Yeah, he really was. He was jiggy. He got into the parade ring, and he was laving with sweat on his neck. Aidan Coleman, I think, rode him that day, feet out the stirrups, trying to keep a lid on him. Blah 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 blah. And he ran a really weird race. I think he scrambled home in the end. It 1-4. His natural class kind of got him out of it. As he's got older, you listen to the words of Nicky Henderson and Nico de Boinville saying, now, like us all, some of us, Ryan, we grow up as we get older and we become less sweaty. Our temperament kind of chills out a bit. And now he's much more the model professional. And that perhaps you could lay to the fact when there's 70,000 people at Cheltenham and the atmosphere is absolutely raucous, you don't want a horse who can boil over, do you?
Yeah.
You need somebody who's got that ice-cold kind of Tiger Woods on the 18th in a major, just ice-cold temperament. And the evidence we're seeing in all the kind of preliminaries with this horse is now he's much more the finished article. Yeah. And if he brings his A game to the table here, on all-known form again, he is head and shoulders above the others. I'd like to see him go and win, and it would be really good. And Nicky Henderson, he actually said he's just been waiting for Jonbon to get the job done at the Cheltenham Festival, and this would be perfect time to do it.
Ed, AP McCoy, I seen him getting interviewed. I think Nick Block was interviewing him the other day. Yeah. And he said the only horse he'd get out of bed and come out of retirement for is Jonbon.
Yeah, well, you can see why. I mean, when he's on song, he's a brilliant jumper. They toyed with the idea. They went up to 2.5 at Aintree last year. They were thinking of going 3. They've now gone stuck to the minimum trip, ride him aggressively, really attack his fences. Yeah. And when he's on song, he's a real sight to behold. And I can understand why AP would be saying that. And fingers crossed we get no in-running tomfoolery or some absolute nonsense happen here, because I want to see Jonbon in full flight, and personally, it'd just be a great spectacle to see him go and get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. I caught a few stray bullets in your little speech there, but I'll allow it because they were bang on. They were absolutely bang on, accurate. Il est français, Lizzie. I'm so glad I got to say that, by the way. One of my favourite names. Will Il est français run in this?
It'll either be this or the Ryanair. He ran over 3 in the King George last time. And basically got collared after the last. If the race had finished at the last, he'd have won it, and it would have been really impressive. I'd say there are horses who've dropped back from kind of Gold Cup trips. One Man would be the horse who famously did it. He went and won a champion chase. And actually, Elixir has plenty of form over shorter trips in France, which is where he is trained. They actually don't have a lot of longer distance races over in France.
Right.
So he was second in a Grade 1 bumper over a mile 4, for example. This is obviously all quite a long time ago now. He's 7. The fact that he won the novice version of the King George at Kempton would, for me, put him in the Ryanair camp, because Kempton's quite a short track. It works for 2.5 milers. And yeah, for me, he's a really exciting horse. Gaelic Warrior is also in here. Gaelic Warrior was an Arkle winner last year.
Okay.
They have a really good record in the Queen Mother Champion Chase. So yeah, I think it's certainly an interesting horse. You've got Marine Nationale in there, who was second behind Solnus. Solnus is a horse who was beaten 25 lengths by Jonbon at Sandown when they met, but he was ridden differently on that occasion and ridden in a way that I don't think suits him. Since then, he's won at Grade 1 level, having bowled along. So he's been allowed to breeze along in front, take his fences as they come. You know, he's very quick over his fences. And the last time we saw him, actually, Marine Nationale was behind him.
Right.
So I think Jonbon is certainly the one to beat.
Yeah, I've got you.
Lizzie, how about El Fabiolo? Because last year we were there and we all backed the Irish treble.
The groan.
And I remember standing there thinking, this is a cert, can't get beat, and got pulled up.
Yeah, he did. So he's had 2 runs this season. He was second in the not this season, but he was second in the Celebration Chase after that run at Cheltenham, and then he fell last time at Leopardstown way too early for us to have any idea of how he would have got on. I also think that you could potentially say that JJ Slevin was riding him for the first time at Leopardstown when he fell last time, and Paul Townend obviously used to ride him, but JJ Slevin's got the job with the double green for the owners. And you could potentially say, did El Fabiolo do something that a new jockey wasn't expecting, and they've sort of come apart? But I would be concerned. I mean, I really do think that Willie Mullins is good at getting his horses back on song, and if he were to pull it off with El Fabiolo, who obviously beat Jonbon in the Arkle, it would be an amazing feat. But you'd be a bit of a hope and a prayer with that, really.
Yeah, that's fair. Still one of the best names in the business, so El Fabiolo, another one up there with Elixir. Okay, so a lot of horses named there. This is another tasty one, another juicy one. Lizzie, let's start with you. I want to know your winner and your value pick as well.
Jonbon, and then Solnus is my value pick.
Okay. Ed?
Jonbon. But I'm going to go against Lizzie. I fancy Marine Nationale to turn round the form, coming back to Cheltenham. Previous Supreme Novice Hurdle winner, and those colours would be quite poignant with things that have been going on in the racing world at the moment. So yeah, Jonbon to beat Marine Nationale would be my 1-2.
Oh, there we go. Love it. Okay, you are watching the Cheltenham Preview Show with talkSPORT and talkSPORT Bet. Head to talksportbet.com or download the talkSPORT Bet app for all of your Cheltenham needs.